Hey guys, I'm Tammy and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to sew a really easy sheer dress with sleeves. I have this really cute gingham fabric that I'm going to use today. It's a really nice beige shade and this is what it looks like. It's nice and drapey and it's a cotton that I got from Minerva. I'll leave a link down below on where I found this. So to make this dress, I've got a few measurements that you need to take. You'll want to wrap the measuring tape around your bust and this will be the width of one rectangle. And grab your measuring tape and measure the length that you want the dress to sit at from your underarm to the desired length. I'm thinking mine's going to be around 30 inches. So my rectangle is going to measure 33 inches by 30 inches in length. You want to cut out 2 of these rectangles out of fabric. Then for the sleeves, we'll also need 2 extra rectangles. Then grab your measuring tape and wrap it around from one underarm to the other and times that number by 1.5. For me, that's 28 inches. Then depending on how long you want the sleeve, measure from your shoulder to where you want the sleeve to end and plus a couple of inches for seam allowance. So my sleeve rectangle is going to measure 28 inches wide and 10 inches high. Cut out 2 of these rectangles for the sleeves. So this is what the rectangle looks like for the dress. You'll need 2 of these, but as you can see, it's really big. And the reason why it's so big is because we're going to put elastic in the top to create a casing, and it's going to gather in and naturally fit around our bust. And we're going to place them right sides together and sew the side seams. So now that we've sewn the rectangles together and the side seams are nicely sewn, what I've also done is I've also overlocked the edges of the side seam like this. So now it just looks like a really big loop of fabric. And what we're going to do is finish the top edge of the dress. So this is the top edge of the dress. And what we're going to do is create an elastic casing on the top. And how we do that is we take our fabric and what we do is we fold the top edge over towards the wrong side by 1/4 inch, press it in place and then fold it again once more, but this time we're going to fold it by 3/4 inch. And we're going to press that in place all along the top edge and then I'll show you how we sew it. So now we're going to sew all around the top edge, really close to the edge, but we're going to make sure we leave a 2-inch gap towards the back of the dress. So the top of the dress has been sewn and this is what it looks like. It's been sewn down nice and neatly on the front and the back, and this is where I left a little gap. As you can see, I can push my finger through it. What we're going to do now is measure the elastic we need for the top of the bust. For this dress, I recommend using 1/2 inch wide elastic. This is what mine looks like. It comes in a roll and as you can see, it's nice and stretchy. I'm going to wrap this around my bust and show you how you want to measure that. So this is where my underarms are on the top of my bust, and I'm going to wrap the elastic around my back and under my underarms, and I'm just going to pull it until it feels comfortable, probably to about there. And that's the length of elastic I want to put through the dress. So I'm going to cut it here. So this is my elastic length, and if I wrap it around my underarms, when I don't pull it, you can see it's shorter, but as soon as I pull it, it feels nice and tight. Now you want to take a safety pin and pierce one end of the elastic like that. And then we're going to find the gap that we left in the dress at the top, and we're going to push the elastic through this hole all the way round with our fingers, and we're going to make sure we don't lose the other end of elastic. Once you find that the elastic where the end is actually really close to the hole, what you can do is use a safety pin or a clip and just clip it in place so it won't actually get stuck inside the casing, and then continue pushing it around, and because you've clipped it in place it won't go inside. So once your safety pin is where you just begun, you want to unpin this and then take hold of the elastic that's free and also push the safety pin out and make sure not to lose any ends of the elastic. Then take the safety pin out and align both edges of the elastic together. You could also alternatively align it like that. I'm just going to do it like this for simplicity, and we're going to take this to the sewing machine and sew this with a zigzag stitch to secure both ends of elastic together. So that is what the edges of the elastic looks like now that I've sewn it together. I'm just going to push that inside the casing and then stretch this out a few times. So I'm just stretching out the elastic. And what that's done is just evenly gather the elastic around the top of the dress. Now this is where that open edge is. What we're going to do is pull it taut and we're going to sew that closed at the sewing machine. So this is what the dress should look like now. The elastic has been sewn to the top of the dress, and as you can see, it's nice and stretchy and it should fit around your bust if you put it on. Now to make the under bust or the waist more fitted, it's completely up to you where you want the lines of shirring to sit. We're going to take a measuring tape and we're going to measure from the top of our bust to where we want the shirring lines to sit. I'm going to make mine maybe 1 or 2 inches under my bust. So for me, that measures 7.5 inches. So I'm going to take a note of that measurement and mark that on the dress. And that's going to be where the start of the shirring line is going to start. So I've got my top of the dress in front of me, and I've also got one side seam here. And I'm going to take that measurement that I already took, which was 7.5 inches. And I'm just going to mark that onto the dress side seam. I'm going to use this Friction erasable pen because it actually disappears with steam, and I'm just going to mark that on the dress fabric because it won't ruin it. I just mark that here, and then I'm also going to do that on the other side seam. So once you've marked where you want the shirring to start on your dress with a pen, what you're going to need now is some shirring elastic, and this is what that looks like. As you can see, it's basically stretchy thread, and we're going to put that in our bobbin. So this is the bobbin of my machine, and what I'm going to do is wrap this around by hand, giving it a bit of tautness. And that's how you put elastic thread in the bobbin. The thread doesn't need to go into the top of the sewing machine, just the bottom, which is the bobbin. But once you've got that on your bobbin, put it into your sewing machine and set the tension to 7 and the stitch length to 4. So as you can see, I've got the elastic in the bobbin and that's come out now. And then I've also put normal thread in the top of the sewing machine. So this is what one line of shirring looks like now that I've done that on this section of the dress. And as you can see, it looks like that. We're going to use that exact line now to do 5 or 4 more rows of shirring. That's completely up to you. And the more rows of shirring we add, the more shape it will give. I might do 4 or 5 rows. So this is what the dress looks like now that I've sewn all the lines of shirring where I want them. This is a close-up of the fabric now that it's shirred, and as you can see, that's what it's like when it's not pulled and then you pull it and it's the original length of the dress. It's going to be really nice fit around that area. What we're going to do now is take this to the ironing board and iron this part of the dress where the shirring is, and you'll see that it will contract and be even more shirred. Look how cute the dress is looking. Oh my god, you can see that now that we've ironed it, the shirring detail has really come together at the waist. The front and the back of this dress are exactly the same, so you can just choose which side you want to be your front and back. But now what we're going to do is focus on sewing the sleeves. So this is a sleeve piece that I mentioned earlier. You'll need 2 of these. This is one rectangle for one sleeve, and it looks really big, but don't worry, we're going to put elastic and do a casing again. What we're going to do is fold the fabric in half with right sides together, and we're going to sew this raw side seam together and then also finish the raw edge with an overlocker. So this is what the sleeve should look like now that I've sewn the side seam, and as you can see, it's basically one loop of fabric. On the inside you can see I've neatly finished it with an overlocked edge. Again, you can use a zigzag stitch or pinking shears. But once you've done that for both of the sleeve pieces, what we're going to do now is create a casing in the exact same way that we did the top of the dress for the top of the sleeve and the bottom of the sleeve. So again, this is the top of the sleeve, and I'm going to fold it under by 1/4 inch. Press that in place and then fold it again once more, 3/4 inch, and press that in place. I've just gone ahead and ironed the casing on the top and the bottom of the sleeve all the way round. So that is what the inside looks like. It's pressed nice and flat. And then this is what the outside looks like. Now do that for both sleeve pieces. They've both been pressed at the top and the bottom to create a casing. Now, like we did before, we're going to sew around the entire top edge and bottom edge of the sleeve to sew down the casing, but we're going to leave a 2-inch gap at the top and the bottom because we're going to insert elastic into that. Now we're going to measure the amount of elastic we need for the top and the bottom of the sleeve. So for the top of the sleeve, you want to take one end of the elastic and put it under your arm here. So this is where my underarm is. And you want to put it over your shoulder. And you want to stretch it slightly like this. So it's wrapped around like this. So this is one end. And the other end is over my shoulder at my underarm. And I want to pull it slightly to make it a bit taut. And then that's the amount of elastic that we want to cut out. We also need to measure around our arm where the sleeve hem will sit. Again, take your elastic and wrap it around your arm. I'm going to say around here, and you want to pull it slightly. So I think that's a nice width. And that's how much elastic we're going to cut for the hem of the sleeve. Then take one of the sleeve pieces in front of you now that it's been fully sewn. And we're going to take one of the elastic pieces. This is the elastic for the shoulder. And I'm just going to pierce one end with a safety pin. And then again, I'm going to find the gap that we left on one of the ends and push it through all the way around like we did at the top of the dress. And now that's out the other end, again, I'm going to sew this using a zigzag stitch to secure both ends of elastic together. So now the elastic's been sewn, you want to push that back inside the casing and then stretch out the sleeve a few times. And now it's been stretched out, we just want to pull this open and sew that edge closed. So this is what the top of the sleeve looks like now that the elastic's been sewn in and the casing has been created. We want to make a mark just to remember this is the top of the sleeve, and then we're going to repeat the exact same process for the bottom of the sleeve. And this is the elastic that I cut out and already measured to go at the sleeve hem, and we're going to put that in the bottom. So I have both sleeve pieces sewn and this is what they look like. I've marked the top edge of the sleeve with some pins, so I know this is the top edge and the bottom is the sleeve hem. Look how cute they are. They look really nice and puffy. What we're going to do now is attach this to the top of the dress. So this is the dress in front of me. This is the right side facing out, and this is where the top of the dress is, and again this is where the waist is. I've basically got the side seam in front of me, one of the side seams. And this is one of the sleeves. This again marks where the top of the sleeve is. And I'm going to find where the side seam is of the sleeve, which is here. And with the right side touching the right side of the dress, I'm going to align this sleeve side seam and the dress side seam. Then using a tape measurer, you want to mark roughly 3 inches one way and pin that in place. And then do the exact same on the other side. And that is where the sleeve is now attached to the dress. And I'm just going to use a normal straight stitch and sew this at the sewing machine, right where the seam already is for the sleeve. So this is what the dress is looking like now that I've attached the sleeves to the dress, and it looks so cute. I love how it's looking. So I've actually made mine quite short, but I quite like that. That goes just above my knee. What I'm going to do now is literally just hem the bottom of the dress and the dress will be completed. To finish off the bottom of the dress, what we're going to do is fold the bottom edge towards the wrong side by 1/2 inch, press it in place, and then fold it again by 1/2 inch and sew that all the way around the entire bottom of the dress. And this is the final dress completed. I honestly love how this dress has turned out. You can see I've already sewn the hem, and so the entire dress is nice and finished. I really like the shirring detail at the center of the waist, and this really cute sleeve detail is really adorable. Let me show you what it looks like on. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing how I make this really easy DIY sheared dress with sleeves. Let me know in the comments if you're going to make one too. I honestly love this neckline and sleeve detail. It makes it feel really elevated and more than just a normal sheared dress. If you found you had some trouble with the shirring, definitely check out my 2 other videos that I have down below. I'll leave a link to them, and they're basically perfect if you have any problems with shirring, because they'll show you different solutions to fix them. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video if you'd like to see this content from me, and I'll see you in the next one.